everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive.
It's great to be back.
Today we're getting into some really juicy stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Ancient mysteries.
Love it.
Specifically, we're going to be looking at stuff here in the Americas.
Right.
And to help us explore this, we're going to be using an interview with Graham Hancock.
Of course.
You probably know him from Fingerprints of the Gods or
yeah.
the Ancient Apocalypse Netflix series.
Yeah, great stuff.
He's kind of known for shaking up conventional thinking when it comes to history and archaeology.
Yeah, he really makes you kind of rethink everything you thought you knew about the past.
Yeah.
And, pulls together stuff from archaeology and geology and mythology and even his own personal experiences with ayahuasca and all this stuff.
Well, let's get into that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely something that I found really interesting and that we'll talk about later.
For sure.
But first, I kind of want to set the stage here.
Okay.
One of the things that really grabbed my attention was this idea of the Clovis first model.
Right.
So for a long time, that was kind of the go-to explanation for how humans first kicked to the Americas.
Yeah, crossed the Bering Land Bridge about 13,000 years ago.
Right around there, yeah. And Hancock, along with, I think, a growing number of researchers, are unearthing evidence that kind of throws a wrench in that whole timeline.
Yeah, the Cerruti Mastodon site in San Diego.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Researchers found mastodon bones there that date back like 130,000 years,
Wow.
which is incredible. And they show signs of being intentionally broken with stone tools by humans.
So that's like 10 times older than we thought.
Exactly. It's a game changer. If this finding is confirmed, it would rewrite our understanding of human presence in the Americas.
What I find so fascinating about this is it really makes you wonder what other discoveries are out there just kind of waiting to be found.
Oh, absolutely.
There are other places like Monte Verde in South America,
Right?
Bluefish Caves in the Yukon,
Yeah.
all suggesting humans were here way before 13,000 years ago.
It really begs the question, how did they get here?
Right.
Did they really just walk across a Bering Land Bridge? Or were there other migration routes?
Maybe boats?
Maybe sea travel?
That's another point that Hancock makes, is that early humans could have been much more sophisticated in terms of seafaring than we give them credit for.
Right, like think about Australia and Cyprus. Both were settled tens of thousands of years ago, and they would have required voyages across open water.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Not at all.
Now, this is where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Hancock points to DNA evidence that links indigenous Amazonian tribes
Yeah.
to populations in Melanesia, New Guinea, and Australia,
Suggesting a Pacific crossing,
which is mind-blowing.
bypassing the Bering Strait completely.
It really complicates the story.
For sure, it suggests a much more complex story of human movement and interaction in the ancient world.
All right, so let's move from there down into the Amazon rainforest.
Okay.
We tend to picture it as this pristine, untouched wilderness.
Right.
What if that's totally wrong?
Recent archaeological work is painting a very different picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah, archaeologists like Marty Peronin and Alce Ranzi are using LiDAR technology.
LiDAR.
Yeah, which essentially lets them see through the dense forest canopy.
So we're finding things that we never knew were there before.
Exactly.
Like what?
Well, they're finding these massive geometric earthworks, squares, circles, rectangles.
Under the canopy.
Yes, all laid out with amazing precision and complexity.
I mean, are we talking about like civilizations here?
That's what it's starting to look like.
That flourished in the Amazon.
It seems so.
What time frame are we looking at here?
These earthworks are estimated to be around 2,000 to 3,000 years old.
Wow.
Based on organic materials found within them. But further excavations revealed continuous human activity in these locations for at least 10,000 years.
10,000 years.
That's incredible, right?
It's like blowing my mind.
It really changes our understanding of the Amazon.
What about indigenous people who live there today?
Yeah, the indigenous Aparina people consider these geoglyphs sacred and still use them for shamanic practices.
Do they know about them?
Oh yeah, they believe there are thousands more hidden throughout the rainforest.
Waiting to be uncovered.
Exactly.
Wow.
And it's not just earthworks.
Okay.
Hancock mentions other evidence like traces of large cities, extensive road networks, and the possibility of a population numbering in the tens of millions before Europeans arrived.
So not a pristine wilderness.
Not at all.
All right, and then there's Terra Preta.
Yes, this incredible fertile soil found throughout the Amazon.
This is soil that's like a superfood for plants.
Yeah, it's self-regenerating, teeming with beneficial bacteria, and it was deliberately engineered by indigenous people over 8,000 years ago.
So it's been productive for 8 millennia.
Exactly.
That is incredible.
It speaks volumes about their understanding of agriculture and connection to the rainforest.
Okay. I need a minute to process all this.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in.
We've got potentially the oldest human settlements in the Americas,
Right.
evidence of lost civilizations in the Amazon, a soil that's like a superfood for plants.
It's mind-blowing.
Where do we even go from here?
Well, let's go from the rainforest to ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah.
This potent psychedelic brew. It's been used by Amazonian shamans for millennia.
I've heard about ayahuasca.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's supposed to be pretty intense.
Intense might be an understatement.
Okay.
Ayahuasca is made from two main ingredients, the ayahuasca vine and a leaf containing DMT.
DMT.
And the vine contains a compound that allows the DMT to be orally active,
Okay.
resulting in visions and altered states of consciousness that can last for hours.
Hours.
Yeah.
So this is not a recreational drug?
No, it's deeply connected to the spiritual practices of the Amazonian people.
What role does it play for them in understanding the world?
For shamans, ayahuasca is considered a teacher, a way to gain profound insights and healing.
A teacher.
Yes, it's not about getting high. It's about connecting with a deeper level of consciousness, confronting personal shadows, and potentially accessing ancient knowledge.
So Hancock's been working with this for over 20 years.
He has, and he describes it as a profoundly transformative experience.
Transformative.
One that shifted his understanding of reality.
Wow.
And he talks about this concept called nada, where you don't necessarily have visions, but there's like a subconscious learning that happens.
It's like beyond the visual.
Exactly.
And the fact that they even figured out how to make this stuff in the first place,
Wow.
finding specific plants,
Yeah.
understanding their chemical interactions.
It speaks to an advanced knowledge of botany.
That's incredible.
Absolutely.
It really is. And there's also this other form of the brew that Hancock talks about called yahe
Yeah, that's right.
that has even more DMT compounds.
It's known for its incredibly intense effects,
Makes ayahuasca look like...
like child's play.
Right.
Yeah.
And he also makes this connection between a cave art that's found in the Amazon
Oh, yeah.
and similar art in Europe.
Suggesting that these psychedelic experiences might have played a role in artistic expression across different cultures and continents. And it's important to remember that ayahuasca is powerful medicine.
It is.
It should be treated with respect, approached with caution.
Ideally with a shaman.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, from the heart of the rainforest.
Where to next?
Let's go to Easter Island,
Oh, cool.
home of the Moai.
Iconic statues.
They've captured our imaginations for centuries.
Mysterious.
And Hancock really digs deep here, questioning the traditional timeline of settlement and uncovering some fascinating new evidence.
The conventional view was that human arrival on Easter Island happened around 1,000 years ago,
Based on...
limited archaeological findings.
Right.
But recent discoveries are challenging that, pushing it back significantly.
Like what?
Well, they found banana phytoliths dating back 3,000 years.
Bananas.
Yeah, these are microscopic plant remains. And their presence suggests that humans were on the island much earlier.
Because bananas don't just magically appear.
Exactly. Humans have to bring them there.
So 3,000 years at least for now is the new baseline.
It seems so.
But what about those statues?
The Moai.
They gotta be super old too, right?
Well, the sheer size of them and the fact that many are buried up to 30 feet deep in sediment suggests they're much older than we think.
Sediment 30 feet.
Yeah.
Wow.
And Professor Robert Schuch, who's known for his research on the Great Sphinx,
Oh, yeah.
he also believes the Moai are significantly older
Based on...
based on the level of sedimentation,
Right.
which, given Easter Island's isolation and limited landmass, would have taken a very long time to accumulate.
So we're potentially talking about statues that have been watching over Easter Island for millennia,
It's mind-blowing.
slowly being enveloped by the earth.
It is.
I mean, what do the indigenous people there say about these statues?
Yeah. Hancock interviewed Elder Leo Paccarati,
Okay.
who described the Moai as containing mana, a spiritual force.
No, no.
Yes, he sees them as protectors of the island, imbued with the power of their ancestors.
Wow.
And there's this interesting detail of long ears and short ears.
Long ears and short ears.
Yeah, representing two distinct groups in Easter Island's oral history.
It's like something straight out of a fantasy novel.
It really is.
It just goes to show how much we still don't know
Exactly.
about Easter Island's past
So much more to discover.
and the deeper meaning of these incredible monuments.
Right.
And, speaking of connections, Hancock also mentions similarities between the Moai and statues found at Göbekli Tepe.
Oh, wow.
in Turkey,
That's amazing.
which is completely changing our understanding of early civilization as well.
Makes you wonder if there's a connection there.
Right, like some shared knowledge or tradition
Yeah.
that spanned continents and
It's
oceans.
almost too much to comprehend.
Well, so far we've got evidence challenging the established timeline of human arrival here.
Right.
We've got hints of lost civilizations in the Amazon
Yes.
and a potential connection between ancient cultures across the globe.
It's incredible.
This is a lot,
It is.
but it sounds like sharing these views hasn't been easy for Hancock.
Oh, no. He's faced a lot criticism, especially from the archaeological community. Yeah.
Seriously, they're trying to shut down these alternative perspectives.
Organizations like the Society for American Archaeology have actively tried to discredit his work.
Really? What's their main problem with him?
Their main criticism is that his work is sensationalized, lacks rigorous evidence, and promotes what they call pseudo-archaeology.
Okay.
They even wrote an open letter to Netflix urging them to reclassify ancient apocalypse as science fiction.
That's a bold move.
It is.
It sounds like we've got a real battle here between the established guard of archaeology
Right.
and those like Hancock who are challenging the accepted narrative.
It's an interesting debate.
Where do you stand on all this?
Well, I'm not here to pick sides.
Okay.
What I find fascinating is the debate itself.
Okay.
It forces us to think critically, examine the evidence, and question our own assumptions.
Okay.
So it's not about blindly accepting Hancock's claims, but engaging with the ideas.
Recognizing that our understanding of the past is always evolving.
Exactly.
I like that.
I think that's important.
It's more about the conversation.
It's declaring a winner.
Absolutely. The goal is to get closer to the truth, whatever that truth may be.
Right.
And I think Hancock's work pushes us in that direction.
I think so, too. It takes courage to challenge the status quo.
Oh, for sure.
And Hancock certainly does that.
He does.
I'm curious, how has he dealt with all this criticism?
Well, he's shown remarkable resilience. He meticulously documents his sources.
Okay.
He responds to criticisms thoughtfully and engages in debates even when they get heated.
Wow.
He sees it as a fight for the past.
The fight for the past.
Yeah, a battle against what he perceives as censorship and the suppression of alternative viewpoints within archaeology.
He's become a champion for people who challenge those established narratives.
It seems so.
Not just in archaeology, but in any field.
Yeah, it's a powerful message.
It is, and it makes you think about, the nature of knowledge.
Right.
And the role of dissent in academia.
And the potential for bias to influence how research is conducted.
And how new ideas are received.
Absolutely. Makes me think about the story of Jack Cinq-Mars,
Oh, yeah.
the archaeologist who was ostracized for his findings at the Bluefish Caves.
It took decades for his work to be acknowledged.
It's amazing to think how many other discoveries are being overlooked or suppressed because they don't fit the accepted narrative.
That's a sobering thought.
It is.
Science isn't always as objective as we might think.
No.
It's driven by humans with all our complexities and biases.
Which is why it's so crucial to have these open discussions and to be willing to consider different perspectives.
Couldn't agree more.
Hancock's work certainly sparks those conversations.
It does.
And I'm sure we'll have plenty more as we continue our deep dive.
Absolutely.
So let's take a moment here.
Okay.
Absorb everything we've learned.
Right.
We've gone from the potential first footprints in the Americas
Yeah.
to the hidden wonders of the Amazon, the enigmatic statues of Easter Island.
It's been quite a ride.
Quite a ride.
It is remarkable how much we still don't know about our past.
And how these new discoveries can completely change our understanding of human history.
It's fascinating.
And the best part is there are probably tons more mysteries
Oh, yeah.
waiting to be uncovered.
Absolutely.
So stay tuned
We'll be back
to continue our journey.
right after the break. Before we move on from Easter Island, I wanted to pick up on something we were discussing before about the pushback Hancock has gotten for his views.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear he's not afraid to ruffle some feathers.
He really isn't. And all this back and forth between, his theories and mainstream archaeology.
Yeah.
It makes me think about, knowledge itself.
Right.
Like, who gets to decide what's true when it comes to history?
That's a great question.
It's not always so clear-cut.
No, it's a really gray area.
There's this inherent tension right between established authority and those who question it.
Makes sense.
And Hancock's argument is that any field, even science, can become resistant to new ideas, especially ones that challenge long-held beliefs.
That's like a turf war.
In a way, yeah.
Each side fighting for control of the narrative.
And you have to wonder how much personal bias, or professional jealousy plays a role.
Oh, totally. I mean, Hancock's been very open about how he's been treated by some in the archaeological community.
He talks about encountering archaeologists who were more interested in discrediting him than having a real discussion.
Yeah.
He even uses the words jealousy and envy.
Which is kind of ironic
So?
because his work is actually bringing more attention to archaeology,
True.
even if it's by challenging conventional thinking.
Yeah, it's a strange paradox.
It is.
And I think it highlights a broader issue, too, in academia, this struggle to balance rigorous research with making knowledge accessible to the public.
Right.
And Hancock is a great storyteller,
Oh, yes.
weaving these complex ideas into really compelling narratives.
Right.
And that ability to connect with a wider audience, it's both his strength and, to some, his perceived weakness.
Because it's more accessible.
Yeah.
It's open to more criticism.
Exactly. Especially from those who feel like their authority is being challenged.
It's a tough balance,
It really is.
especially these days
Yeah.
with information overload,
Social media.
short attention spans.
Right. It's a whole different world.
It feels like we need a new approach
Maybe we do.
to knowledge and inquiry.
One that encourages critical thinking, but also recognizes the power of storytelling and diverse perspectives.
Exactly.
And, speaking of challenging authority, Hancock recounts instances where he was denied permission to film at certain sites.
Seriously.
Yeah, like Serpent Mound in Ohio,
What?
just because of his views.
They wouldn't even let him film.
Nope. They didn't want his alternative interpretations associated with those sites.
Wow.
They considered his ideas too speculative or potentially misleading.
It's like they're afraid of people thinking for themselves.
It raises concerns about freedom of inquiry and the potential for those in power to stifle dissenting voices.
Well, thankfully, Hancock found other ways to share his research and bring these places to life for a wider audience.
He did.
And speaking of Serpent Mound,
Yeah.
he makes this fascinating point about its astronomical alignment.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just aligned with the summer solstice,
Right.
which was what a lot of people think,
Right.
but with a specific astronomical event that happened like 11,500 years ago
Due to
because of the obliquity of the ecliptic.
which affects the Earth's tilt.
It's incredible to think that ancient people were tracking these subtle shifts in the Earth's movement
I know.
and incorporating them into their monuments.
The obliquity of the ecliptic basically refers to the angle of tilt of the Earth's axis of rotation
Right.
in relation to its orbital plane.
Yeah.
It's what gives us our seasons.
Right.
And Hancock's argument is that Serpent Mound's alignment
Yeah.
points to a level of astronomical knowledge that we don't usually associate with cultures from that time period.
So basically, we're talking about a much more sophisticated understanding of the cosmos.
Then we give them credit for.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this ties back to Hancock's theory that we're missing a piece of the puzzle. A lost chapter.
Yeah, a chapter in human history that predates our current timeline of civilization.
And he points to similar astronomical alignments at Chaco Canyon in New Mexico,
Okay.
even at the Great Pyramid of Giza,
Interesting.
suggesting that these ancient structures could be more than just tombs or temples.
Right.
Maybe they're time capsules.
Encoding knowledge
Yeah,
or messages.
from a distant past.
It's a fascinating concept.
I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it.
It makes you rethink everything.
It does. It makes you think that these ancient cultures were tapped into something that we've lost touch with, like
Yeah.
a deeper understanding of the cosmos
Right.
and a profound connection to the natural world.
It's humbling.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about the Americas.
Mhm.
We've talked about the Amazon Easter Island.
Right.
One place we haven't touched on yet is Antarctica.
Oh.
Now, I know it's not directly connected to the Americas,
Right.
but it's a place that holds a lot of mystery and intrigue.
It does, especially for people interested in ancient history.
For sure.
Has Hancock done any research on Antarctica?
He hasn't really focused on it.
Okay.
He mentions the logistical challenges
Sure.
and the resources that it would take to do research there.
In such a harsh environment.
Right. He prefers to concentrate on areas where he feels like he can make a more immediate impact,
Okay.
like Egypt.
Egypt.
Yeah, he considers it the heart of the mystery.
Oh, Egypt. There's a place that never fails to capture the imagination.
It really doesn't. Sphinxes?
Fumes. It's like stepping back in time.
It is.
So what are Hancock's plans for Egypt?
Well, he mentions a renewed focus on ancient Egypt and a surprising reconciliation with Zahi Hawass.
Wait, they're working together?
It seems so.
They didn't get along.
They haven't always seen eye to eye.
So what changed?
It seems that time and their shared passion for ancient Egypt has led to a truce.
Wow.
They both recognize the limitations of their previous approaches,
Mm.
and the potential for collaboration to yield new insights.
That's amazing.
It is
Shows that even long-standing rivals can find common ground.
when there's a shared passion.
Right, in the pursuit of knowledge.
Exactly.
Makes me even more curious to see what they uncover.
Me too.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've challenged the Clovis first model,
Right.
explored the possibility of lost civilizations in the Amazon,
Right.
unraveled some of the mysteries of Easter Island,
It's been quite a journey.
delved into the Younger Dryas impact hypothesis,
Yeah.
even gotten a glimpse of what's to come in Egypt.
I'm excited to see where he goes next.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
We've explored alternative perspectives on history,
Yeah.
challenged conventional narratives,
Yeah.
and considered the possibility that our understanding of the past.
Is far from complete.
Yeah, and that's what I find so compelling about Hancock's work.
Me too.
Even if you don't agree with everything he says,
Right.
he asks the right questions.
Yeah.
He pushes the boundaries of knowledge,
Right.
forces us to confront the limitations of our understanding.
He's a true intellectual rebel.
He is.
Whether you love him or hate him,
Yeah.
you can't deny his impact.
No, you can't. But before we wrap things up,
Yeah.
I have one more question.
Okay.
We've talked about this lost civilization,
Yeah.
but what about the future? Are there lessons we can learn from these ancient cultures
Oh, it's a great question.
and the challenges they face?
What does it all mean for us today?
Exactly.
Well, Hancock often talks about the importance of learning from the past, especially when it comes to our relationship with the environment.
Right.
He sees ancient cultures like those in the Amazon
Yeah.
as examples of sustainable living.
Okay.
You know, their understanding of nature, their interconnectedness with the cosmos might hold valuable lessons for us.
As we deal with the challenges of the modern world,
Exactly like climate change,
it's like they had a wisdom that we've lost.
and are now trying to reclaim.
It's a powerful message.
It is especially as we face the consequences of our unsustainable practices,
Right. Hancock's work really encourages us to rethink our relationship with the planet.
and to consider that ancient wisdom might hold the keys to a more sustainable future.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
We've explored some fascinating and controversial ideas,
We have.
and I'm sure our listeners have plenty to ponder
I hope so.
as we continue this conversation. You know, it's interesting you brought up that point about learning from the past, especially when it comes to the environment.
Yeah.
It makes me think about that Younger Dryas impact hypothesis and how it was initially just dismissed by so many scientists.
Right.
It seems like there's a parallel there with how some people are downplaying the urgency of climate change today.
I see what you mean. Yeah, there's this resistance to accepting information that challenges the prevailing paradigm,
Right.
whether it's a comet impact thousands of years ago
Right.
or the impact of human actions on the climate today.
It's like we just don't want to face potentially catastrophic scenarios.
Yeah, maybe because it forces us to confront our own vulnerability and, potentially make significant changes to our way of life.
And it's so much easier to just ignore the problem
It is
than to actually face it head on.
much easier.
And, Hancock talks about this tendency in archaeology to control the narrative,
Yes.
to kind of shield the public from ideas that are considered dangerous.
Right.
But isn't it more dangerous to suppress information
Yes.
and prevent people from thinking critically?
Absolutely. Knowledge is power.
Right.
And the more informed we are,
Yeah.
the better equipped we are to make decisions that impact our lives and the future of our planet.
It's like we're treating people like children
Right.
who can't handle complex information or, make up their own minds.
And that lack of trust
Right.
can be really damaging.
It can.
It creates a culture of intellectual dependence,
Right.
and it undermines the principles of critical thinking and open inquiry.
Yeah, I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier.
Okay.
This potential link between ancient cultures across the globe.
Right.
Hancock suggests that these similarities
Yeah.
between monuments and myths and symbols could point to a shared origin,
Okay.
a lost civilization that predates our current understanding of history.
It's a bold claim,
Is.
but it's definitely an intriguing one.
It is.
While there's no definitive proof,
That's-
it's a fascinating avenue for exploration.
It is.
If we're open to the possibility that our understanding of the past is incomplete,
Yeah.
it opens up a whole world of questions.
It's like we're putting together this giant puzzle,
Yeah,
but we're missing a bunch of pieces.
we are.
And those missing pieces could hold the key to understanding our origins and our place in the universe.
And who knows, maybe those pieces are hidden beneath the Amazon rainforest or buried under the sands of Egypt.
Or under the ice in Antarctica.
Exactly. There's still so much to discover.
Makes you want to grab a shovel and go on an adventure.
Well, before you book that flight to Egypt, remember, archaeology is a meticulous process.
It is.
It takes time.
Patience.
Patience, care.
And respect.
Respect for the cultures and history we're uncovering.
But it's also incredibly rewarding.
Oh, it is.
Offering us a glimpse into the lives and beliefs of those who came before us.
It's a privilege.
It is. Well, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive here.
Yeah?
Into the world of ancient mysteries.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've explored some really thought-provoking theories.
We have.
Challenged conventional narratives.
And hopefully sparked some curiosity.
Yes.
In our listeners.
Absolutely.
We've only scratched the surface.
Yeah.
Keep questioning.
Keep exploring.
Keep an open mind.
And who knows?
Who knows?
What incredible discoveries await us.
They're just beyond the horizon.
As we dig deeper into the mysteries of the past.
We might uncover something profound about ourselves.
Yes.
Our place in the cosmos.
And the enduring legacy of human ingenuity.
Beautifully said.
And resilience.
Thanks for joining us
on this deep dive.
Until next time.
Keep seeking knowledge.
Keep challenging assumptions.
Keep the conversation going.
And remember,
the past may hold more secrets